Hello students. In this session, topic under discussion is novel Far from Madding Crowd, written by Victorian novelist Thomas Hardy. As the name of the novel suggests, it is about the countryside, rural, rustic people away from city life. But before delving into the details of the novel, before looking at the art piece, let's know something about its craftsman, the artist Thomas Hardy. I am Sareen, Associate Professor English. Welcome to this session on Thomas Hardy. Historically, Hardy belongs to the Victorian period of English literary history, and he is a shining star in the galaxy of the novelists like Charles Dickens, William Makepeace Thackeray, George Eliot, Bronte sisters. The Victorian age in English literature is rich, flowering time for the development of the novel. The field of Victorian novel is so wide and crowded that in order to have a clear chart, some of the literary history books define the novelists of this era into the novelists of first order and those of the second order. These novelists have written every type of novel. Actually, Victorian novel and every novelist needs discussion at a greater length. But for our topic today is Hardy. So we are having a skimming look over a Victorian novel and other novelists. Novel in the Victorian period was published in monthly or weekly installment and was issued in three volumes, three decker. So mostly novels were loose in construction, play not be compact, but they tell the story so well that novels are entertaining and there is enough of suspense in them. Readers' attention is not allowed to flag even for a single moment. Charles Dickens, with his pity for the underdog, published novels of social reform. Bronte sisters, Charlotte and Emily, presents stormy sisterhood, that is the passion in English novel with Wuthering Heights and Jane Eyre. George Eliot was a novelist of intellectual life and psychological insight into human motives and actions. William Makepeace Thackeray, a realist with his commentary on Victorian life in his novels like Vanity Fair and Meredith, created poetic comedy in his masterpiece, The Egoist. And coming to our novelist under discussion, Thomas Hardy. He is known as a regional novelist. Hardy has come now to be universally recognized as the greatest novelist of the Victorian era. Indeed, he is one of the greatest novelists in the whole range of English literature. Some critics have even called him the Shakespeare of the English novel. While Hardy wrote poetry throughout his life and regarded himself primarily as a poet, but he gained fame as the author of novels. The Desperate Remedies in 1871. It appeared from his pen in 1871, and thereafter, novel after novel flowed from his pen in quick succession. The Mayor of Casterbridge, The Return of the Native, Far from Madding Crowd, Woodlanders, Tales of the Dearborn Wilds is universally acknowledged as his masterpiece, and they have been compared to the great Shakespearean tragedies. And his first poetry collection was published in 1898. Hardy divided his novels and collected short stories into three classes: novels of character and environment, romances and fantasies, novels of ingenuity. Far from the madding crowd, the novel under discussion comes under the first category of novels of character and environment, and they convey a strong sense of fatalism, a view that in life human actions have been predetermined either by the very nature of things or by God or by fate. By his emphasis on chance and circumstances in the plots of his stories, Hardy consistently suggests that human will is not free but fettered. Although far from the madding crowd has some of the qualities of Shakespearean comedy, most of the novels of character and environment. They are also known as Wessex novel, such as Return of the Native, is tragic in their conception. Mostly they are tragic in conception. Well, talking about Hardy as an artist, he was trained as an architect. And this training of early life not only brought him closer to his future wife, but later on, this training also helped him a lot while creating the plot for his novels. His novels are masterpieces from the point of view of plot construction. They have an architectural finish and symmetry. The architectonics of Hardy have been praised by all who have studied him. The forethought, the careful planning, the pattern in design, the majesty, grandeur of the plot of the novels is explained by his early architectural training. They all rise novels. They all rise brick by brick, joined together by a careful plan. Hardy's plots are constructed scene after scene in Wessex, and his philosophy cement them. Digressions are there, like the Victorian novels, digressions are there, but according to a preconceived design. No looseness, unfinished ends, and odds are there in his novels. Hardy is a regional novelist as he is a creator of Wessex, historical Wessex of Anglo-Saxon King Alfred, a small tract of country consisting of six odd counties in South England. You can have a clear idea of this Wessex by watching the historical British TV series The Last Kingdom streaming on Netflix. Hardy's knowledge of this limited region, Wessex, is as thorough as that of Scott of his beloved Scotland and that of the Wordsworth of the Lake District. Wessex appears and reappears successively in one novel after another, and it is seldom that he stays out of it. His treatment of this locality is not narrow or provincial. He makes it a part of universal nature, and his characters are one with humanity as a whole. Wessex heaths and woodlands have epic grandeur, and his principal characters have the greatness of epic heroes and heroines. He increased the scope and significance of the regional novel. His novels are questionings about life. He inquires into the cause of things. With his why, he constantly attacked accepted beliefs. He has no faith in the benevolent and omnipotent God of Christianity. He conceives of the first cause as blind, indifferent, and unconscious. Man suffers according to him, not to any fault of his own, but according to the imperfections of the powers on high. Character is responsible for the tragedy, only to a very limited extent. So, his conception of tragedy differs radically from that of Shakespeare. His characters fall from no fault of their own, but because they happened to inhabit blighted planet. In this way, Hardy is a father of a new form of tragedy. He has given to the English novel a new depth, richness, and significance. Next, next point, the next issue which he discusses in his novels is that Victorian society held rigid views on marriage and the role of women in life. Most women regarded marriage as a fixed fact of nature. It was a fundamental part of their life plan. It was childbearing. In the mid 19th century, reproduction was considered a woman's only correct occupation. In the middle of this strict social code, Hardy came into existence. He was not against marriage, but he wanted that if it's not successful and if the husband and wife don't love each other, then terms for divorce should be easy one and because of in those times it was very difficult to revoke a marriage, even an unsuccessful marriage, even a loveless marriage. That was the case of Hardy himself. Another important issue related with this marriage and divorce issue is the class conflict. This is also has autobiographical touches to it. Class conflict, an important issue with Hardy, deals is because he himself was the victim of it. He himself belonged to Mason class, slightly above the laborer class, and he was married to the higher class woman. Strain in their relations because of the class has become a very important issue in all his novels. वेल एरिस्टोटल ने कहा था कि हाई रैंक के हीरो का फॉल इमोशंस ऑफ पिटी एंड फियर अराउज करता है और मोस्टली ट्रेजेडी लिखते वक्त ड्रामा और ट्रेजिक नॉवेल्स लिखते वक्त इसी उसको फॉलो किया जाता है कि ही इज ऑफ हाई रैंक. But the heroes and heroines of great Hardian tragedies are all drawn from the lowest rank of life. Hencher, the hero of Mayor of Casterbridge, is a hay truther. Tess is a milkmaid. Giles is the cider maker and pine planter. Gabriel Oak, the hero of the novel, is a shepherd understudy. Gabriel Oak is the hero of Far From the Madding Crowd, which we will discuss in our next session. He is a shepherd. And Klein, the protagonist of the novel Return of the Native, is a fudge cutter. So, while taking his protagonist, the persons making his heroes, he has completely broken away from traditions and his novels do not suffer in any way. He writes about the grandeur of the soul, of humble humanity, and essential nobility in the country isolation. He believed elemental passions of life are more prominent in rustic life. They lie dormant in city life. All major characters of Hardy's novels are dominated by heart rather than by head. Hardy's characters are all human beings with common human weaknesses and virtues. They are neither saints, no angels, are not even unredeemed villains. His characters may have some fault. They are never mean. We never hate them. We love them despite their faults. They are grand even in the faults that they might commit. They have a conscience and they are torn within themselves when they do something wrong. And they are unable to establish a working relationship with the society. And here lies a tragedy for Hardy. Hardy has broken ground in another respect also. He was the first English novelist to dare to make a woman who has sinned, who was an adulteress, the heroine of the novel. I'm talking here about his novel, Tess of the Herbaviles. Tess is a woman with the past, and still Hardy has made her heroine of the Tess of the Herbaviles. Similarly, the heroine of Sue, Jude the Obscure, Sue Bridehead, she also crosses her limits according to the traditional morality. Hardy thus shocked the Victorian notions of morality and was severely criticized as being immoral and corrupter of the people. His books were burnt. He stopped writing novel writing when the bitter attacks of his critics were too much for him. But he certainly shocked the prudish Victorians with his revolutionary views about relationships. Victorian prudery came in a way of a free and frank treatment of the animal side of our lives. And here is that Hardy differs from them. And according to times, props dark places, including the dark recesses of the times. Society inflicts its unwarranted suffering through exercising outworn conventions and superficial values, as well as through the New Age's emphasis on efficiency. The passionless permanence of Egdon Heath in the Return of the Native and the Roman antiquities in the Mayor of Casterbridge contrast with the futile and pitifully brief human existence. In the novels of Thomas Hardy, time moves rhythmically in seasons and ages rather than mechanically according to watch and even calendar. Basically, he's probing the existence, making the questions why the existence is like that, and in that he is questioning the social constraints, the outward conventions, and the superficial values of the Victorian society. Harry aims at realism. So, his conception, he makes man an insignificant part of the world, struggling against powers greater than himself, sometimes against systems which he cannot reach or influence, sometimes against a grim world spirit who delights in making human affairs go wrong. शेक्सपियरियन ट्रेजेडीज में ये हायर पावर, ह्यूमन बींग्स को हराने वाली ये हायर पावर कोई सुपर नेचुरल पावर होती है या गॉड होता है, लेकिन हार्डी में ये जो पावर डिस्ट्रॉय करती है ह्यूमन पावर्स को, ये एक मलाइन पावर है, ये सुपर पावर है, ओमनीपोटेंट पावर है, लेकिन इनहेरेंटली इविल, सिनिस्टर. So critics call him that he is hardly a realist. Rather, he's a man blinded by pessimism. And his novels, though generally powerful and sometimes fascinating for some people, they are not pleasant and wholesome reading. From this discussion, we can notice a basic pattern in all of his novels. Although I have not written those points in the slide, but we can notice from our discussion, we can notice a basic pattern in all his novels is there. They are all love stories. The wrong man meets the wrong woman, or vice versa. And thus the complications arise, leading to the characters to their doom. The eternal triangle is always there in every novel. There is action, sensation, and thrill, but not much introspection or psychoanalysis. Hardy is modern as well as thought and content of a novel is concerned. He is conventional and old fashioned in his plot construction. His plot turns too much on a chance and coincidences. Hardy, largely traditional novelist. He's largely a traditional novelist. His plots and characters are all conventional. His narrative is straightforward. It does not move backward and forward in time, as in a stream of consciousness novelist. So his form is conventional as far as his matter is concerned. He is entirely new, modern in his view of God and religion, in his free and frank and free treatment of sex. He condemns the education system, class barriers, religious and moral conventions, and the divorce laws that all conspire against simple, ordinary, common characters. So, Hardy occupy more than important place in the development of the English novel. And in our next session, we will read in a detail the various aspects of his novel, Far from Madding Crowd, which is in our syllabus. For the time being, thank you, students. Thank you, friends, for listening. Thank you. Stay motivated. Keep learning. Thanks a lot.